Gather around to hear the tale of the mother of the United States of America, Martha Washington. Please welcome her now to tell you the story of her life. Hello. Hello and welcome. My name is Martha Washington. I was born into the hands of John and Frances Jones Dandridge on June 22nd, 1731, near Williamsburg, Virginia. I am the eldest of 8 siblings and was taught the many activities a woman in my time would need, such as spinning wool, sewing, and cooking from my mother. But unlike most girls, I was also taught how to read and write at a young age. And throughout my life, I would have found great comfort in books. As you can see, I am quite short, 5 feet, but my charming personality is filling this room. Many of you may think that I only married one man, George Washington. If so, then many of you are wrong. When I was 18, I married a wealthy plantation owner, Daniel Parkey Custis. Although he was above my class, Daniel was smitten with me, and our age gap of nearly 20 years made no difference, for he had won my heart. Sadly, I would lose my beloved Danny Pooh after just 7 years. However, during our glorious time together, I gave birth to 4 children. Tragically, 2 passed away before their 5th birthday, which was not uncommon. My other 2 children, Jackie and Patsy, became my leg, and we lived together in our own little white house on the plantation in Virginia. I was young, widowed, and raising 2 small children on my own. Plus, I had 300 slaves and 17,500 acres of land to worry about. Then I met you-know-who. Baltimore! No, Mr. George Washington. His tall, military-trained handsomeness overtook me, and we were wed on my New Kent country plantation on January 6, 1759. He adopted my sweet babies as his own, and our new family moved to Mount Vernon. By then, George was already a general in the French and Indian War. After this war, he promised to focus on our slaves and plantation. My dear sweet Patsy began to have more frequent seizures, and at the age of 17, the unthinkable happened. She went to be with her daddy. In 1775, George left to lead the Continental Army, but I would go to stay at the winter encampments and help keep fires going and mend blankets. I helped by wooling socks, making clothes, raising money for food and supplies, plus visiting sick men. Who knew childhood would come in such handy? I healed injuries while giving the soldiers hope. I also encouraged other wives of other generals to do the same. The worst winter was Valley Forge. That winter I had to do men's work like chopping wood and keeping guard while George slept. More men died of sickness or hunger rather than war injuries, and that terrible winter. When Congress did send food, it was rotten by the time it got here. Oftentimes, we would make the men mud cakes, which was flour watered down and mixed with dirt. At least they'd have something in their bellies. Finally, after 2.5 months of dying people, France and other countries joined our cause. They picked us out of our suffering pit by sending money, soldiers, and food. While George was at war, my son Jackie went to heaven from a scoundrel's illness he had contracted. So we adopted his children. In 1789, George became president of the newly formed United States of America. We traveled to New York City, which was then the capital. Then in 1790, we traveled to Philadelphia, the new capital. I held dinner parties and teas. My kindness made people feel welcome. I helped shape the future of first ladies and was known to everyone as Lady Washington. While living in Philadelphia, I acted happy, but secretly longed the privacy at Mount Vernon. Finally, George finished his second term, and we moved back to Mount Vernon. Sadly, George passed away 2 years later. I burned all the letters that we had written back and forth during the wars. I freed all my late husband's slaves, and as you expected, my health was declining. On May 22nd, 1802, Lady Washington died. She was buried next to her love on the family estate. To this day, she is still known as the mother of our country.
Yeah.